DJ PK, and we're joined once again by Real Salt Lake head coach Pablo Mastroeni. Pablo, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Well, you got some help. You got some good news. You took care of business, and then other things broke your way. You have advanced to the Leagues Cup quarterfinals later this month. Congratulations on that. That is also going to mean another midweek game. And I think most people like one or two midweek games a month and then play every Saturday. You're playing twice a week, every week. You are drinking out of the fire hose right now. I know you got to do it, so you're just going to say, well, we got to do it and I don't worry about it. But is there a point where it's too much of a good thing, or you get minutes for all these guys so you don't have to listen to them complain about that, and that's a good thing?
Yeah, no, I think it's a little bit of everything. But, again, I think we have to just deal with what's in front of us. And, I think the Leagues Cup, the first three games was a good dry run as to, rotating quite a few players, keeping the level high, some really good understanding of the way we want to play, even with the changes that we made, and some good experience for the guys. And so, I think I always talk about team, and I think we're going to have to show that more than ever in the next few weeks. But I feel really good about where the group's at. And, I think when you have a little bit of momentum, magic can happen. So just staying really positive and getting everyone some minutes. And like you said, it'll keep everyone happy.
Yeah, see, Pablo, DJ, he's a little bit of a downer, but you and I, being Thunderbird Chiefs, we were just raised on positivity. I would think that it's, wow, this is great timing because you lose Gozo, and then you have an opportunity here, and you can practice till you're blue in the face, but there's nothing like a match or game as far as recreating it. That is the real stuff. That's where everything happens. And so now you have these games here, extra games, to, as you say, see what works and find out what you do going forward after losing a premier player. Yeah,
I think you're absolutely right. I think anytime there's a void, it's going to be filled. And sometimes the team might look a little bit different than it did when we had Gozo. But we still want to be, again, we want to be competitive. We want to be efficient with our work. And so different guys are carrying the load. One of the things I've been talking about is, Gozo was a real threat in that final third. And Zach Booth has done a really good job, but I think it'd be quite unfair to put all the burden on him. And so we've been asking our attacking players to make sure they end up in the box. Like, we need to be, goal dangerous now that Gozo's not here. And, I'd say of the 7 goals, 5 of them we've had, 4 or more players in the box at any one time. And anytime you do that, you pick up second balls, you're able to just knock it in. But so we've tweaked our tactics a little bit to make up for that. But then there's other guys stepping up, Lineker Rodriguez stepping up, Serge stepping up, Diego Luna stepping up, and so Morgan stepping up. And so it's just forced everyone to, pick up the 1 or 2% to make up for Gozo's absence. And in light of that, you see some really good performances. You give other guys opportunities. And so we can start to now look at our group a little bit differently than we did prior to Gozo leaving.
Booth and Lineker Rodriguez are young guys who are emerging. And then you've got Pablo Ruiz, who's been multiple injuries, multiple years, and he seems to be, it's a small snapshot, but this is like the best stuff we've seen out of him in 3 years. And then you got Arias there in the middle of the back three, who's both a young guy and coming back from injury. He's been so off the radar. What can you tell RSL fans about him? What is he like? What do you like about him? How is he to be around? Because I don't think people know anything about him.
Yeah, no, he's one of the brightest kids that has come to us. He's really, really bright, speaks really good English. Learned English in Colombia, and oftentimes that's a big hurdle to get over for kids coming from South America, and one that got to adjust to the culture, and then they got to learn the language, and then they got to learn the style of play and all these different things. And I think what's been really good for him, he's been able to build good camaraderie within the group because he does speak English, and he's just a great guy. He's just a genuine human being, and he's got a really good growth mentality. So he's learning as he goes. The game in Colombia is a lot slower. They walk the ball up the field, and here, everyone's pressing everyone. So he's had to, adapt on the fly. But I thought he played some really important minutes for us, played some really good games for us. And in light of Jay Glad not being around for the last couple months, we were thinking about maybe bringing in another center back, but I think we found a really good one who's ready to play and contributing significantly in these last 3 games. So just a great professional, great young man.
Did you know that Booth's first name is actually Chadwick?
Chadwick, yeah. It's so interesting when I look at the team sheet, PK. I'm like, who's Chadwick? Chadwick.
I literally did that. I'm like, they're bringing in so many guys. Oh, wait, that's Zach. Okay, yeah.
You get mad at him. Do you ever call him his full name like a parent would do? No. Any of these guys? Chadwick?
Yeah, no. To be fair, Zach is such a great. Again, the one thing with our group is they're just great individuals. There's this, any mistakes they make, they're honest. They're never, contrived, and they're never thinking beyond just trying to do their best. So Chadwick's an amazing person, and he's showing some great flashes of quality.
Now, I know that you take time and go to meals with new guys, veterans, guys who are struggling, guys who need to step into a new role, and it's easier to bond and talk over food sometimes. I'm curious if you have ever gone with Chadwick to Eden, Utah. Have you been to Eden, Utah?
I don't know where that is.
I have not. I don't even know where that is either.
It's up in the mountains. It's by Pineview Reservoir. So it's like you go up to Ogden and you turn right and go up a canyon.
Huh. No, I'll ask him about it. I'll ask him about Eden.
Yeah. There's a big ski resort really close to where he is. So, yeah, he's not far from where the Olympic downhill was, actually. So,
interesting.
I'm wondering. I'm interested in this. Maybe nobody else is, but I'm curious. You came out of the break. You lost a couple of MLS games. Now you've been doing well in the Leagues Cup. How do these teams compare to the MLS teams?
Yeah, that's interesting. I think I would say they're really comparable. The 2 teams that we played, Atalanta and Juarez, they were undefeated when they came to AFF, and so they'd beaten MLS opponents, rivals. And so I would say, they're on par with that. And I think the biggest difference, PK, is playing home and away. And I think that's true in, any league in the world. You're gonna have a lot more success at home than you are on the road. And so those first couple of games coming back from break were obviously LAFC, difficult place to play. Although we played well, we ended up losing that one. And then the Portland game where, we were winning until we got a red card. So there was a lot of little things that kind of took away from the performances. But at the end of the day, we didn't get the result. And so really just honing in on being the best version of ourselves. And we seem to, when we're at home, I don't know if it's because we sleep in our beds or if because we have the best 12th man in the league, the feeling that we get, the bravery that we play with. And again, I think the most important thing is scoring the first goal. And when you do that, you're able to really manage the game from a different perspective and play with a bit more calm. So I would say that's the biggest takeaway, but I would say that these games bring a lot of momentum in the locker room because, again, the belief is there. And if we can do it 2 games in a row, we can do it 3 games in a row, we can do it 4. We can now, we can start building upon each performance and not have to think about, we haven't won in a while. So I think these games are really, really important for the remainder of the season.
Kurt Schmid, Chief Soccer Officer, got that same question. He was on right before Leagues Cup started, and he felt like MLS had caught up with most of Liga MX, certainly the bottom and the middle. He said there were some big spending clubs at the top, which, to be fair, MLS has too. I think they might have bigger spending clubs than Miami and LAFC. But this whole thing, and people love to do it, and I get why, and I love to do it too, is this league better than that league? How does this league compare to that league? Pablo, there's like groups in this league. There's big gaps in leagues sometimes. So isn't that pretty hard? As you're evaluating players, don't you have to take that into account?
Yeah, I think that's a big thing, right? And that's why I think for us, why the culture is so important, why we have to be greater than the sum of our parts, and to compete against the Suns and Boangas of the world, and the Rossies and the Kuipers that just went from MLS to Monterey. There's teams that are going to spend big money and And, these players are going to make the difference every game. Where, for us, I think you see it, we have difference makers for sure, but there's different names on the score sheet most games. And it's not one guy we're relying heavily upon to be the guy. And so I think it's a blessing and a curse, right? The blessing is that it forces us to be a team and figure out different ways to get results. But it also takes the burden off of one player to be the guy and show up every day. And if that guy's not on the day, maybe you don't get the result, right? So, I think every team constructs their groups differently. And again, just because you spend a lot of money doesn't mean you're going to be a good team. And the opposite is true. So I think having a balance of understanding who you are as a team, the type of people that you need. And because, again, oftentimes we look at sports differently, but it's like any other business. You want good people. You want smarter people than you in the building. And you want to create a culture where, it's not micromanaging. You trust them. They do a good job. When you have to course correct, you do that. But I think it's like any other business. And when you know who you are and what your identity is as a business, then you know the right people that can fit into that system to be successful. And so I think the people that we bring in are just as important as the quality of player we bring in.
Do you have familiarity with, or how much familiarity do you have with these players in this particular form of competition?
Yeah, we don't, PK, and not a lot anyways. Some of the big name players we're obviously familiar with, but again, I think it's a great opportunity to trust our process, to trust our game model and the way we play and the way we go about it, as opposed to spending so much time on our opponents, right? So we'll watch a couple of their league games, like for Tigres, we watched a couple of their league games because it was our first game, but then we watched, Atalante's game against, I think it was Vancouver, and then Juarez against Minnesota and Vancouver. So to get an idea of what their setup looks like against teams that we've already played against. And so it presents different challenges, but I like it because now we can really double down on us and say, well, it doesn't matter really who our opponents are. If we do, A, B, C right, we're going to find ways to win this game. And so, our scouts were really short. It was more almost like playing from a place of flow and not over analyzing our opponents and going into the weeds with all that stuff. And I think you saw the way the guys played when it was kind of, it was just about us, and they played free and they put together, 3 really good performances.
And I assume they have the same issues because everyone's on the same timeline. But I did think that they were giving Zach Booth a ton of space. I thought early in that last game, Pablo Ruiz picked his head up and he wanted to hit those big 60-yard diagonal. Mm-hmm. And they were moving left to right. And Pablo was roughly even with you and me. I kind of sit up in the air pretty similar to where you are. And I thought he picked up his head and looked and like, man, that guy's playing 20 yards off him. I better not. And he's kind of like, you could almost sense the disappointment. Man, that would have been fun. All right, and I'll play some respectable ball that Pablo will, approve of. He's probably disappointed in himself. But I thought it just showed they're scouting Zach Booth. Maybe it was just luck, but I thought they were scouting him.
Yeah, no, I think so too. And I think that's why it's always easier when you come on the scene and, you have more space to make plays because no one knows who you are. I think the more plays you start to make, a lot like Gozo, teams will play you differently. And what that ends up doing is it opens up space for other players. And that's why it's so important to have such quality players in those front 5 positions for us because, again, you can't just focus on Aluna. You have to deal with Morgan. You can't focus just on Morgan. You have Serge. Now you have Booth. And then you have Juanma. And so, the quality of these players lend themselves to creating space for their teammates. And then it's about making the best decision available. But, I'd like to see Pablo hit a couple more of those balls to open up defenses, especially early on. It's one of his strengths. But you're right. Teams are playing Zach a little bit closer, and so that weak side is going to be defended a little differently.
So you speak of that culture and bringing in people that are quality, basically. I'm wondering, and I assume this has happened to you, whether it's here or other places, as a player and as a manager and a coach. How many times have you, as an organization, whoever it might be, decided, okay, this guy's got the talent, but the other stuff isn't going to work.
Yeah, I think it's an ongoing process, PK. I think sometimes we feel like we've got a good beat on it, and then we go back and we think about the Zoom interview or the conversations that we had with said player, and there was some kind of red flag in and amongst it that we didn't catch, and I think it was because of the necessity of that. We just needed someone in. And so it's not that we overlooked it. It's this year we almost have this confirmation bias. We wanted to see what we wanted to see. But I think, this last year, I think we got every single one of them right. And, you can go back to, all the guys that we brought in from the beginning of this year, and Zach Booth and, Lucas Engel and Morgan Gilavogi and Sergi Solons and all these, Juan Sanabria. These guys have been just top, Juan Arias, top individuals. And so I think, it's like everything else. You're not going to get them all right. But, man, we've learned a lot over the years, and we brought in some real quality players that on paper looked to be a great fit for the team. But then culturally, when they came in, it was almost like they didn't fit. And it didn't, and I think what great players do or great people do is they create almost a synergistic effect where they can, they affect other players to the good, like Morgan Gilavogi, for example. Like, he's such a great player and plays with such poise and calm, but he's also an unbelievable person and teammate and works hard for the guy next to him. And I think when you have a combination of both of those, it starts to bleed into the rest of the group. And so it's not always easy, but I think we're getting better and better at it. And again, it's not, the type of person is going to be, it's all relative, right? Because certain teams might want more bulldogish, we just want guys that want to grow and get better and a growth mindset. And all these guys have that. And I think that's a really important quality because at the same time, we're trying to develop young players. And if we have experienced players with a growth mindset, it's so much easier to reach the younger players and get them on the same path that these other guys are on.
Do you think you saw a little bit of that mindset with Serge Solon and the goal he scored and lifting it over the keeper? Is that a ball he might have blasted over the bar a few months ago?
Oh, man, it's just an incredible goal. Yeah, DJ, again, this year's been so special with these guys because it's like sometimes I'm a coach, but most times, especially here at home, I've been a fan, and watching some of these plays, I'm like, man, that is unbelievable. The ball that Noel plays into Serge, plays it safe side. And then the fact that Serge, he was 3 plays ahead of the defender. He knew he was going to receive it with his right foot, click it behind him, and then he obviously knows what the goalkeeper is going to do once he does that. So his awareness of space and time is so elite, man. He's playing unbelievably well, and it's so fun to watch.
Well, if you're a fan, particularly at the home games, I think it'd be really cool if you came out with a little drum set.
Well, if I'm going to do that, PK, I'm also going to tailgate then.
Okay.
Yeah. I know some people who would sign off on that in a heartbeat. They would love to see you walking through the tailgate lot. Stop coming in that private parking lot. Park with the people. Just walk through on your way in and just wave, tip of the cap, all that kind of stuff.
And bang on some drums, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That'd be a cool entrance.
PK's going to keep dropping Thunderbird High stuff because it has now come to our attention that there are other people on the staff who are getting annoyed by it. So once PK knows he's got him, he's not going to let go of the reins.
They're just jealous, man. That's all it is.
That's right.
They didn't go to the high school Harvard of Phoenix.
That's right.
Nice. All right, Pablo, Minnesota's coming in. I guess this is a team you could scout just because you had to watch. They were essentially in the same group and were playing the same teams from Mexico. So you just saw them a couple months ago, and now you've gotten to see them here in the last week or so on tape.
Yeah. No, we went down there in preseason, or up there in preseason, this World Cup preseason anyways, and had a scrimmage game with those guys. So we have a really good idea as to what they do. Again, they have a very dynamic front three that really they're real quality. And like all Minnesota teams that we've played in the past, they don't give a lot up defensively, and they play for set pieces. They have, I think, 7 guys over 6 foot. So anything in and around midfield, that's a foul. It's going in the box. Any throw-in that's 40 yards and in will go into the box. And so defending set pieces will be a priority. So, again, the emphasis for us is really how do we get that first goal without giving one up and manage the game from that perspective.
Pablo, we appreciate it as always. Good luck Saturday. Get the drums and head for the parking lot.
Let's go. Appreciate you guys.
Thanks, Pablo.
Take care.
Pablo Mastroeni, RSL head coach. RSL in Minnesota. Minnesota's 10th in the West. RSL is 5th, 15 teams in the West. That sounds like a bit of a gap. Only 3 points separate them in the standings. Minnesota wins that game. They're tied with RSL. A bunch of teams clumped together right there in the middle of the Western Conference. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, David Locke, radio voice of the Utah Jazz, joins us at 8:30, and we'll give away. Yak, you want to give away the tickets right now? Should we make people wait, or you want to do it now? Oh, we're doing it at the end of the hour. All right, you got to wait.
We got some space. Let's
8:50 or so. We'll give away the tickets to see Styx in Chicago. It's part of Aerofest 2026. It's August 30th, Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater. Grab your phone. Be ready to call in about half an hour right here on The Zone.
Welcome to
This is Chase Scott and Ben Anderson.
Joining the show now, college football writer for CBS Sports, John Talty. I was down at Big 12 Media Days, and the buzzword was unsustainable. Is the status quo unsustainable? And if so, how long in the future is that?
You go back to the start of NIL when guys were just starting to get paid, and you had athletic directors crying poor and how this is not sustainable. We can't do this. The issue is that I feel like I've been hearing that for 5 years, and somehow the numbers keep going higher. The total numbers have probably 4x, 5x, if not more than where they were back then. I do think for some conferences and some schools, you might eventually get that point where it's like, this is not worth it to us. We can't keep competing if such and such school is spending $50 million on their roster, and we're only spending $18 million on our roster, which there are Big 12 schools doing that this year. At a certain point, you say, can we win doing this, or do we have to find a different angle or focus on something else like basketball or another sport, and maybe we just try to get to a bowl, and that's where our aspirations are.
Catch Jake and Ben afternoons from 2 to 6 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Join Scotty G and the coach today from 10 to 2 at Tim Dahle Mazda, 10785 South Auto Mall Drive in Sandy. Social media can be a total cesspool, PK, but there's just enough stuff there to remind you what it could be, what it used to be. Reaction to people. To people watching the Field of Dreams game in Iowa. Matt with the great movie quote, "People will come, Ray. They'll come to Iowa for reasons they can't fathom." Of course, we don't mind if you look around. You'll say it's only $4,000 a person on SeatGeek, the official ticketing partner of Major League Baseball.
Never forget, we turned a fantasy father-son, son-father into a money-making proposition.
Nice. Matt Carey at Real Matt Carey, you're funny.
People will come, Ray. Of course, we don't mind if you look around. You got to get the financial thing in there.
It's only $4,000 a person on SeatGeek, and he even put the TM next to SeatGeek. Nice, bravo, bravo. Well done, Matt. And now he's got a bunch of people champing in. McPherson. People will come, Ray. They'll have to stream the game on Netflix and search high and low to find the game, but eventually they will come. What streamer was that on? I just picture some dude bouncing around. Is it Apple? No. Is it Amazon? No. All right, I'll go try Netflix. Find the game in the second inning.
And then I saw Schwarber hits the first home run on Netflix. And so they had a graphic of like who hit the first run when the game was on ESPN, who hit the first run,
the first home run,
and when it was on Amazon, and all the different when it was on TBS, and all the different outlets that they've had over the years. And Schwarber gets the category first home run on Netflix in a real game. Obviously the home run derby, but that doesn't count. So, yeah, man. It's quaint. It's charming. Roger Clemens and his son Cody, who's in the big leagues, playing catch after the game because he plays for the Phillies. And, hey, Dad, you want to have a catch? Buxton, who plays for the Twins, probably their best player, he's having a catch. And if you want to have a catch, it'll cost you $4,000.
Lots of people commenting on Shoeless Joe walking out of the corn so he can see FanDuel ads in the outfield.
Oh, that was, yeah.
That was all over.
The story about a guy who's getting redemption for a gambling episode is...
The irony is just too good. All right, DJ, PK, we're joined by David Locke, radio voice of the Utah Jazz. David, good morning.
Really your favorite, isn't it, DJ? That's truly your favorite. Like when something like that happens and you see it and you get to just kind of point it out, like that underlying story, that just makes you so happy. I can feel it, DJ.
It really does.
That's what makes you the happiest.
It really
the question,
does.
though, the question really is, what makes PK the happiest? What's the equivalent that makes PK as equally happy as David James does when he sees that thing that has a little intellectual element to it, and he can say, see, look at the irony there.
Well, I did point it out. I found the did you hear the first one?
I don't think David heard the start of this because I think he was on the phone
so
with Jake.
Give him the first
This
one.
guy, Matt Carey, at Real Matt Carey on Twitter. People will come, Ray. They'll come to Iowa for reasons they can't fathom. Of course, we don't mind if you look around, you'll say. It's only $4,000 a person on SeatGeek, the official ticketing partner of Major League Baseball. James Earl Jones would love that.
Well, in this day and age, you can go have James Earl Jones do it.
Oh, the late great man. He would have. I think if you told him to go back there and reshoot that scene just for a laugh, he might have done it.
That's funny.
Well,
Awesome.
it's all in the quest for the dollar. I mean, we see it in stadiums that we're just shocked, and it's abhorrent, the fan behavior. Meanwhile, you can only buy 4 beers at one time. I mean, for $18. I mean, if you don't want that, stop selling that. But they won't. You got to make the money.
Oh no, I mean, but all of it. I mean, I don't know. It's never not been that, though. I think it's worth, right? Like, I don't know that I think it's actually any more of that than it ever was, right? Like,
Right.
No, you can go.
the Cincinnati Reds didn't put games on television because they thought it was going to cost. At one point in time, they thought it was going to cost them money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just this has never been anything other than a profit industry. The numbers are bigger. The mechanisms are bigger. You know, it's just it's different, but I don't know. Actually, I don't know if it's different. It's got different. It feels it, but I'm not sure I buy that it really is.
David Locke, radio voice of the Jazz, joining us. What did you think when you heard the Lakers were sold? PK's got a little background, talked to some of the people he knows in L.A., a little stories emerging. I'm curious what you thought and what you heard and what you know.
I mean, I don't know if you saw the thing today. We'll travel the most of any team that's not going overseas. Do you see that?
I did not.
So we'll travel 49,000 miles, which is the most of any team in the NBA that is not going to Paris. So San Antonio and New Orleans travel more, but they're going to Paris. I think that's because we have more plane flights than I've ever seen us have. I think we have between 13 and 15 single game road trips. So if you just think about it, like if you go on a 4-game road trip, you take 5 plane flights. If you go on a 1-game road trip, you take 2. And so 13 times at least, and maybe 15 if I remember correctly, but I'll go with 13. We go out for a single game and back. Now, the good news is twice those are Oklahoma City on the back end of a back-to-back, so we actually spend the fewest minutes possible in Oklahoma City all year, so that's pretty awesome. That's good to see on the schedule when you don't have to spend any time there. But I think, that jumped out at me. That will lead to a little bit more fatigue than before. I think the other one that jumped out to me is I really felt as though the team was going to need to have some sort of confidence boost. Like, I'm a really big believer that teams can get momentum and then just kind of win games off of it. And I felt as though we were going to need to have some sort of stretch fairly early in which we could run off a few so that the guys could feel good about themselves. It's just, we can talk about how good we think we're going to be and be hopeful to be how good we're going to be, but I don't know that there's going to be anything that lets these guys really believe it until they do it. So actually the open of the schedule is pretty great. Like if you run down, I think we're probably favored in 7 of our first 9 and maybe 9 of our first 13. And so that really gives us a chance to come out of the game and feel good about it.
DJ, PK, and David Locke, radio voice of the Utah Jazz, joining us. The Lakers sale.
May I ask you a question?
No.
Apparently.
What has everyone's thought about the midday Sunday? What's been the reaction to that?
I haven't really heard much.
I think seven of our 41 home games are middle of the day games. It's a lot. That's like, I can do that math. That's like 20%.
We talked about Halloween. We haven't got much reaction on that. You're right. There are a bunch of other, there's a 3 o'clock game with Phoenix, I think. 3 o'clock with San Antonio on a Sunday, a couple weeks later.
Yeah, there's 6 of them. Go look. We open the year almost every Sunday to open the season. We play it for 1, 2, or 3 o'clock.
4 o'clock, rock. 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, rock.
Conjunction, junction, baby. What's my function?
Hooking up words and phrases and sentences.
We're so old.
I'll get him to answer the Laker thing.
I don't think I can. I don't know. I don't know if I want to go for it a third time. I've been rejected twice, and
well, Honey didn't say yes the first time.
oh, I know. I'm scarred by that. Trust me. It's true. She didn't.
Try again.
I'm
DJ.
just curious what you think of the Lakers sale, what you heard. PK heard some stuff. We've been wondering. It's just weird to see the Lakers treated like a starter home and then getting flipped every 10 months.
I probably don't know enough to comment on this intelligently, in the sense that one of the most interesting things I read is the tax benefit to owning these teams and how you can amortize cost and what it does for you is so incredibly valuable to these owners that actually a $2 billion profit over this time period actually doesn't make sense. I thought that was incredible, that it would have been a larger tax benefit for them to actually hold the team. That leads one to believe that the Department of Justice investigation or whatever's coming was principal to the reason why they sold. I think that seems to deductively make sense, that someone doesn't sell a franchise 10 months after they got it, unless there's something that's happened, and something happened. But I don't know it. I really don't know.
PK, tell them what you heard.
Yeah, and in my conversations with some folks down there in the L.A. area with my connections, still got a few, that, the guy who owns the principal guy with the Walter, that, he took out some loans, and he took them from insurance companies to buy the Lakers. And I guess that there's some issue there, and the SEC gets involved. So he's got to repay those loans. So he needs to sell the Lakers. And that Adam Silver is obviously aware of all this stuff. And the guys who bought it, the Kushner and Igor, is that how you say his name? That they were already in line to get the Vegas franchise. And since everything was already in order and they had everything what they needed, he just told them, "Hey, the Lakers are going to be for sale. There's a circumstance here. If you guys are interested, let us know." And they said, "Yeah, we're interested." And obviously they got together with the Lakers, and the thing was done in a quick manner because the other two already had everything, all their ducks lined up to get the Vegas franchise, and then boom, now they're just going to own the Lakers instead.
Makes sense. I mean, that lines up to that passes the smell test, as they say.
Yeah.
It has not been a great week for NBA owners. Did you catch the Matt Ishbia Wall Street Journal story?
I did. Yeah. That his mortgage company lost $600 million or something along those lines. But I know people in Phoenix, and they were saying, well, this guy's worth so much that they don't think it's going to impact the team. I have no idea if it is or it isn't, but that's what they're saying.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like he made a bet on something and it didn't work. Because the question what I've read on that one from the Wall Street Journal is, did he make the bet because he's desperate on some other things that he needed that bet to hit, and it didn't hit, and now he's in trouble.
Yeah, well, that's a lot of money to lose, no doubt about it.
Yeah. It's a different world.
For sure.
Do you think the Blazers situation's getting worked out, or do you think the Portland team's going to be on the move? Bill Oram, who we all know from his time here in Salt Lake at the Tribune, he's been in L.A., he's been in Portland, he's been in plenty of NBA markets, and he's been all over the story. And I've been reading the stuff, and it seems a little doom and gloom-ish, and I'm having a little PTSD with the Chargers move. I'm seeing some similarities there. What do you think?
I mean, I could have the PTSD from the
Sonics move.
So
I know. That's why I'm asking you. I know.
So I think, well, actually the reaction I have to PK's story is, what does this do to expansion? If Iger and Kushner were lined up already for Vegas,
who's going to buy it
and
now?
now who's the Vegas owner? And does that delay? Are there that many guys like lining up to own teams? Maybe. They are really expensive right now. And so does that delay the overall expansion? If that delays overall expansion, does that then play into this Portland conversation? Because one of the questions on Portland is, like, where would he actually move them? If Seattle and Vegas are occupied, then where do you go? Kansas City's not that appealing. And you can tell the NBA would like to go from Memphis to Nashville. I think they have Memphis playing some games in Nashville this year and doing some things like that. But I don't think they're going to put a different franchise in Nashville. There's been a great value, frankly. Jazz, Thunder, Spurs, and there's three other teams I think have gotten big city money, state and city money, to make improvements to their downtown or their arenas, and different reasons, but I'm sure having Seattle sitting as an open market didn't hurt. And so it's an interesting question of whether this delays expansion, because the NBA actually likes having some of these markets open for leverage.
Maybe so. Now, this would be my only guess. I have no knowledge on this, but that Adam Silver and those folks knew that, okay, if we have this ownership transition to the Lakers, we take care of that, and we have other folks in mind for Vegas. Now, I don't know that, but my guess is they're not starting from scratch now.
You know what I wonder? I wonder if Keontae George, Darren Peterson, Lauri Markkanen, Jaren Jackson, and Ace Bailey are on the floor together. Who's the best defender guarding? The worst defender guarding on the other team?
Who's hot that night, maybe?
Yeah, and also what kind of size does the other team have? Because you got players that really, are you matching up with the 6'5" guy? Are you matching up with a 7-footer? But I get your point. They got to pick their poison, and who's hot. And...
But I think you've got to put your best defender on Lowry, or else he'll just physically dominate you, right? And then you probably put your second best perimeter defender on Keontae because he's got the ball in his hands. So either Ace Bailey or Jaren Jackson is your least good defender?
So you think Markin is a better offensive player than Jackson?
Yes. Much, much better.
Explain, please.
Well, Jaren Jackson's been a very inconsistent offensive player in his career, and he's not a particularly efficient offensive player, and he's not a particularly good isolation player. We'll find out whether Will can unleash some things the way he did with Lowry, doing more things on the floor than he's done before. But Jaren's career has had more variability year in and year out in offensive efficiency than just about any player I can find in the NBA. He's had seasons where he's been really positive, and then he's had other seasons where he's really inefficient. Now, it does seem to really swing on it, which it shouldn't if you're 6'11", and maybe that's the biggest thing the Jazz can do, is get him a consistent enough inside two-point game and having him around the rim enough with high percentage shots that he's not as reliant on the three for him to be an efficient offensive player. But if you look at his effective field goal percentage, there are not a lot of players that have that wide a gap year in and year out, and it does that largely there's three-point shooting, but I don't think it should. His little push game around the basket and his hook game are fine, but they're not great. And so how do you get him more dunks, layups, opportunities like that get his overall two-point shooting percentage up so he's not as dependent on his three? Somebody just has more to shoot the three on a catch and shoot in a way that Jaren can't. Lowry can. Probably, we haven't seen Jaren in the system, but Lowry comes off that curl in that pin down, either curling to the basket with that one power dribble to the rack. I'm not sure Jaren has that same explosion. Neither of them are good isolation players, and neither of them pass. So that will be really interesting to see how Will Hardy, who's, if you go back to his very early days, Will Hardy, you're going to play hard, you're going to pass. Well, there are not two players who average fewer assists for the shots they take than Lowry Markkanen and Jaren Jackson. So it's going to be very interesting to see how he does that. Jaren's a far superior defensive player, and I would say he's probably our best player, but on pure offense, Lowry's a better offensive player.
If Jaren Jackson Jr. plays with Yusuf Nurkic, there's going to be a lot of space around the rim to get Jackson really good looks inside of 5 feet.
Why is that?
Because I think Nurkic can operate off the top of the key. I think obviously you can put Markkanen out on the 3-point line. I think they can spread the floor for him.
Now, I'm probably not guarding Nurk, though. Like, if I'm the other team, I'm just not guarding Nurk. He can go play the handoff game at the top of the key, but I'm dropping my big into the middle of the paint. And so then Nurk's either going to have to shoot an 18-footer or play a handoff game with Keontae or Darren Peterson or Ace Bailey into a mid-range game, which as the opponent I'm fine. So then the question is whether you're playing a handoff game to pull up threes, which is a hard shot on that.
All right.
I'm not sure. I think there's way more room for Jaren on the floor if he's offensively playing the 5.
Oh, I agree with that.
I don't know how
yes.
much
I don't know. 10 to 15 minutes of that a night where he is the 5.
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to do that, but it feels like that's the way the roster's lining up.
Yeah. All right, David, we got time to pick that up down the road. Thanks for joining us. That was a helter-skelter edition, even by our standards. That was something.
Well, I know what I'm talking about in the second part. I have no idea what I'm talking about in the first part, so I thought I might get us some things I know what I'm talking about.
Okay. All right, thanks, David.
See ya.
All right, DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We've got the tickets to give away. We're going to do that right after the break. It's a free tickets Friday. We got tickets to Sticks in Chicago, Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater, August 30th. It's Aerofest 2026. Stick around. We'll give those tickets away on the other side of the break.
3, 2, 1. This is Scotty G and Coach Tim LeCoq.
BYU has always done more with less. That's kind of their calling card. And it was only maybe a year or two ago where a prominent guy down there stepped up and said, look, we're never going to be the highest bidder. We're never going to throw as much into this as some of these big schools. Well, here we are now, and the coach is asking for more stuff. I honestly believe, Scotty, that what the issue is more than anything, this has happened fast. BYU's been in the game, but every single year there's a demand for more. Money is not, like everybody said, just growing down there on trees.
That is a huge reason why you're even seeing Alabama, you're seeing Michigan, you're seeing a lot of these schools begging Congress to get involved to protect them from themselves, because everybody has a point where it's like, we can't do this anymore.
Catch Scotty G and Coach weekdays from 10 to 2, presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ and PK, we got a family 5-pack of tickets to Aerofest 2026 featuring Sticks in Chicago. So Yak went to the top shelf and dusted off the hits.
So, backstory on this. This is a Hatch family favorite. For my growing up years. You guys know I grew up on this stuff.
Classic rock. Your dad's all about it.
But as young kids, when they're talking like Mr. Roboto and it's just funky, we loved this song growing up. So there you go.
Sticks in Chicago at Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater, August 30th. Call right now. Caller 12-801-575-ZONE. Caller 12-801-575-ZONE gets a family 5-pack of tickets to Aerofest featuring Sticks and Chicago, August 30th, Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater. Good luck.
And I escorted Sticks one by one to their individual limousines at the height of their career.
Thank goodness you were there.
No, thank goodness the NAU football team was out of town that week.
I was going to say, a bunch of 6'3", 280-pound guys as opposed to PK rolling in there at 5'10 and a half, 155, soaking wet with a pocket full of quarters.
I think at that point, that was...
Mm-hmm. Were you all the way up to 160?
Yeah, because the time I graduated high school...
Well, that's totally different.
From June to December, I gained 30 pounds. Natural growth.
I totally get it.
I mean, I was only 17. Mm-hmm. Well, actually, no, that would have been my second year. So I was,
you were 18 turning 19.
Right.
So you might have been up to 170.
I think, I was.
All right.
Yeah. I had filled out. I was probably like 175.
Yeah.
But the football team was out of town, and I had a job there, and they told us, I was supposed to take tickets. And the guy came out, and he said, okay, all you people here, stand here. And the band was practicing. You could hear them, and everybody went into the dome part where you could see him. He comes back. I'm the only guy there. He says, you come with me. Takes me down to where I escort them with the flashlight instead of taking tickets. So I was obedient. And that's a lesson for young kids. Obedience pays off.
With rock stars.
And Cars.
In ways you would never imagine.
The Cars were the opening group.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Rick Ocasek.
Yeah, they just were coming on the scene. But Styx was, wow, they were all that in a bag of chips at that point. And I did notice, and then after the show, I had to escort. They opened up it's the garage door to the dome, and they pulled in 5 separate limos. And they all had their own limo. Couldn't have 2 to a limo. No. And away they went, yeah.
It's like the old Yankees joke, 25 guys, 25 cabs.
Yeah.
Sticks, 5 guys, 5 limos.
Mm-hmm. And since then, all these years later, they've had a bunch of squabbles.
Go ahead and squabble. And then get it together and go out there and cash those checks. People want to see you together.
The one guy who's singing, Dennis DeYoung, I think his name is, he's long since been out. I saw a Dan Rather thing on him. On Access TV where they interviewed 2 guys, and you could tell they weren't exactly thrilled with them. And this is recent. So there you go.
I was reading a story about the Eagles, and you saw the documentary on it. I need to watch that. And it was a story, and they were like glaring at each other while they were singing a song. They literally wanted to come to blows. They couldn't get to wait off stage. And
the Alan Cranston benefit at the Long Beach Arena.
Right.
And you could hear Glenn Fry and Don Felder going at it on stage. And and this documentary has it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to see that thing.
Yeah.
Get all the dirt. All right, DJ and PK, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we are going to reminisce stories 1 hour before we send Jake Hatch off into the new media world universe. We got stories and reflections next. Stay with us.